Good evening, everyone. I call the June 5th, 2024 Apple Valley Planning Commission meeting to order. The first item of business tonight is the approval of the agenda. Any changes from staff?
Madam Chair, good evening. We have no additions or changes for you tonight at this time.
Any changes from the commissioners? No. Move for approval?
So moved.
Second.
That was moved by Commissioner Scanlon and seconded by Commissioner Sandal. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. The next item of business is the approval of the consent agenda. The consent agenda items are considered routine and will be enacted with a single motion without discussion unless a commissioner or citizen requests to have any item separately considered. It will then be moved to the land use action items for consideration. 3A, I need someone to approve the minutes of May 1st, 2024 regular meeting.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Scanlon and seconded by Commissioner Schindler. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay.
Abstain.
Motion carries. Looks like there's no public hearings for tonight, so we'll move on to the land use action items. And we have Chick-Fil-A setback variance, and it looks like Kathy Bodmer is going to be replacing Sydney Strowing for
Yes.
the planner tonight.
Thank you, Madam
Kathy.
Chair, Planning Commissioners. The petitioner for this request is Kimley Horn on behalf of Chick-fil-A. The request is consideration of a setback variance to install a canopy over the drive-through lane on the west side of the Chick-fil-A restaurant at 7480 153rd Street. More specifically, the applicant requests a variance to reduce the setback along Cedar Avenue from 50 feet to 25 feet for the 677 square foot canopy. The property is located on the southeast corner of Cedar Avenue on 153rd Street at 7480 153rd. And the property is zoned RB, retail business. The required setback in the RB zoning district is 50 feet. And they're requesting then to be able to go down to 25. As noted in the staff report, the building, when it was originally constructed in 2013, received a variance for construction. And that was because of recent road improvement projects to Cedar Avenue kind of was starting to gobble up some of the right-of-way. So any improvements to the building, any building additions would require a variance. The Planning Commission may recall then that in 2021, Chick-fil-A came forward with a request for variances from 153rd Street along the north side of the site and along Cedar Avenue on the west side for two different canopies. The canopy on the north side was constructed, so approved, constructed, done. But there was a delay with constructing the canopy along Cedar Avenue. There were some structural issues that caused that to delay. So they are back then with the request for the 25-foot variance since it's lapsed since the previous approval. So the architectural site plan shows the size of the canopy. It'll range in size from about 8.5 feet wide to about 10, a little bit over 10, depending on kind of the building articulation. And then the length is 79.5 feet. It should be noted that this canopy is relatively the same depth, width. The 8 to 10 is similar from the previous variance. But the canopy is a little bit shorter, so it doesn't require as much of a variance as the previous request did. So elevations show the canopy then on the west side of the building, a very sleek and trim appearance. The canopy is equipped with fans and heaters and provides shade. So on this side of the building, this is the meal pickup area. Staff, they do utilize outdoor staff, and they help to run meals or run traffic or direct traffic through the site. So it's to help protect outdoor staff. Other site improvements, in addition to the canopy, Chick-fil-A is also adding a additional drive-through, a double drive-through lane, kind of lengthening that to provide additional stacking on site, and then plus a bypass lane. This was reviewed by city engineer staff. They have no concerns, but they did ask for additional striping and arrows to be painted to provide more direction throughout the site. This is a photo of the site taken earlier this spring, so the plantings haven't quite leafed out fully yet, but this is the west side of the building. The existing kind of, there are small kind of awnings over the windows, so the canopy will fully replace all of that. And then this is a view of some of the plantings. The plan is to keep the mature vegetation, so that'll help to screen it from Cedar Avenue. And then this is a view of the north canopy that was constructed in 2022. And then this is a view on the, I believe, the north side of the site. I can't quite orient myself. So practical difficulties. When the city reviews a variance request, it reviews whether or not the applicant has met the requirements for a practical difficulty. There are two things that the city looks for. First, the definition of practical difficulties. The applicant proposes to use the property in a reasonable manner, not permitted by the zoning provisions. The plight of the applicant is due to circumstances unique to the property, not created by the applicant. The variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality, and economic considerations alone do not constitute practical difficulties. The second test or consideration are the factors to determine whether a practical difficulty exists. Special conditions apply to the structure or land that are particular to the property, do not apply generally to other land or structures in the area. Granting of the proposed variance will not be contrary to the intent of the chapter. Special conditions or circumstances do not result from actions of the owner or applicant. Granting of variance will not merely serve as a convenience, but is necessary to alleviate practical difficulty, and the variance that's requested is the minimum variance necessary to alleviate the practical difficulty. So when staff reviewed the request, we did note 9 findings that are listed in the staff report, kind of reiterating the variances the buildings got, the previously approved variances in 2021. The canopy, again, along 153rd was constructed, but because of constructional issues along Cedar, that did not move forward. So it's just a matter of kind of coming back and reapplying for the variance. The canopy will cover existing impervious surface, so there's no addition. Outdoor staff, making them comfortable helps to keep traffic moving, so that's a benefit. The site is heavily landscaped, and no landscaping is proposed to be removed for the canopy project. So with that, Madam Chair, staff is recommending approval of the variance, reducing the setback for the meal delivery canopy, based on the 9 findings that I breezed through very quickly, and then subject to the 5 conditions that are listed on the slide and in the staff report. A motion to recommend approval of the variances based on the findings, the 9 findings, and subject to the 5 conditions, would approve the project or would move the project along consistent with staff's recommendation. And I'd be happy to take questions if there are any.
Okay, you guys messed me up because there's one missing here. So Commissioner Pruitt.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Chair Kurtz. Kathy, just out of curiosity, when this was approved previously, what were the structural challenges that prevented it from being installed at that time, and how have they overcome that?
I believe, now, maybe I shouldn't go there, because I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. I believe that it had to do with taking into consideration snow load and the fact that they were trying to do a canopy that was very sleek and built into the building. The new design does have more structural support, so they do have posts constructed near the building, so it's not quite as floating as the other one was.
Thank you.
Kathy, I have a question. I don't know if you can answer it or if the applicant has to answer it, but.
Yeah.
So in those lanes there, so when they come out to bring their food, the employees, and say that Paul's in front of me and I'm in back of him and my food comes, are you gonna have enough room with those poles and everything to bypass? Is there gonna be a bypass lane or no bypass lane?
Madam Chair, I think I call on Kimberly Horn to help with that. The drive-through lanes aren't completely under the canopy, just the part of the drive-through that's against the building. So, but the 2 lanes are outside of that.
Okay, so I was thinking it was over those 2 lanes, so it's only over that 1 lane.
Yes.
So it's, but even when you put those posts there though, you know what I'm saying?
It's so, how
gonna
it's
be-
designed is the posts are near the building, and then the canopy cantilevers, post-free.
Oh, they're post free.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the posts, what they had done before is
Okay.
they had designed tying it more into the building so that there were no posts. But now they're doing posts, but they're putting the posts up closer to the building,
Okay,
I believe is how it was designed.
is that right?
Yeah, I think there's only, it goes from 2 lanes down to 1 lane.
By the window?
Canopy is being built.
Through here?
Yes, I believe it's just gonna stay
Should
on
come up to the front.
Yeah.
the west side
Oh.
along the building.
You might want to come up to the front so we
Yeah,
can
why
hear
don't
you.
you
Come up,
Sorry.
yeah.
My name's Max, I'm with Kinley Horn. But I believe the posts for the canopy will be within the curb, so it shouldn't be affecting the existing drive aisle,
Okay, so you can still bypass.
I believe, yes.
Because otherwise it doesn't make sense to me if the people are coming to bring your meal because you've been waiting for a while, or else do you have like go to number 1 or 2 or 3 and sit there and they bring the food that way?
I think so. Not on the operations of the Chick-Fil-A, but I don't think the canopy itself is affecting how the drive aisle or drive-through works. It's
Okay.
just adding coverage.
Staff, which staff wants to speak to me? You? Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the commission. While engineering didn't specifically review this from an operational standpoint, we did notice that the columns, the structural columns are out of the way, and that there would be nothing that would prevent cars from behaving kind of as they do now
Okay.
to get around.
Appreciate it, thank you. Commissioner Halas?
Thank you, Chair Kurtz. I was wondering, this was previously approved, and is there any changes in the lighting or anything like that from the previous approvals? Is that going to be any additional lighting towards Cedar Avenue and traffic infringements?
That's a good question, Chair. One of the conditions that's set out says that they do need to provide us with a lighting plan. So we have not gotten to that level of detail, but we will review it to make sure that they're not exceeding the requirements.
Very good.
Anybody else? Okay. Do I have a motion?
Madam,
You'd like me to get to it. There we go.
thank you. Madam Chair, I recommend approval of a variance reducing the setback for a meal delivery canopy from 50 feet to 25 feet from Cedar Avenue based on the findings 1 through 9 and subject to the conditions listed 1 through 5 in staff report.
Second?
That motion was made by Commissioner Scanlon and seconded by Commissioner Schindler. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. So that brings us to number 6, other business already. Tim Benetti.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. Just a reminder, your third meeting of the Wednesday of the month would be June 19th. That is a recognized holiday, so we have moved that to that following day of Thursday, June 20th. At this time, we may or we may not have any items for that night, so we might be giving you a night off there. Also, in July, we are skipping the July 3rd for obviously reasons of the July 4th weekend or week. And we will be hosting another meeting on Wednesday, July 17th, followed by councils on June 13th and July 11th respectively. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Questions for Tim? No? Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
Move we adjourn?
Second.
Motion this time made by Mr. Schindler, Commissioner Schindler, and seconded by Commissioner Scanlon. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. This meeting has been adjourned.